good morning. My name's David Mason. I'm the mayor here in Enid. We've started a show, Ask Mayor Mason, about anything that you want to ask us about. We've been encouraging people to send in questions. We've been getting several questions, whether it's on the street or whether it's people that just call me and ask questions. And then there's also a email address that you can send your questions into. That is at askmason@enid.org. askmason@enid.org. So please get those questions in. Anything you want to talk about, I'll be happy to do my best to address that. This morning I've got Derrick Silas with me. He is our Director of Communications. His whole department, you see them out and about all the time. So they're the ones that do all the videos and actually make us look pretty good. So we appreciate it. Derrick, thanks for being here this morning. I know you've got a couple questions, and why don't you just take off and I'll answer anything that you've got.
Sure. Thanks for having me here. And as always, one of the things people are concerned about, when you passed the budget a week ago, they talked about a $6 million deficit. Mm-hmm. So many residents are wondering, how will that affect us? Let's talk about that.
All right. That'd be great. And a great question. Very good question. I want to start off by saying that when we do a budget, it is a projection. It's what we think we're going to spend during that year. And according to statute, we cannot spend more than what our budget calls for. We can spend less, but we cannot spend more. And I remember when I was Ward 6 Commissioner, it was right at the start of COVID, and we passed a $170+ million budget, and a lot of our businesses were shut down. I mean, we didn't know how that was going to look, but we knew we had to pass it at enough money to take us through the year. If we had to back off, we could, but we couldn't go back and add to that. So all that being said, $6 million budget, our deficit. Want to also mention that it's kind of an oxymoron when you say a deficit with city government, because we have to have a balanced budget. We have to have money to cover that. If you were watching probably a month ago, we just finished a very, very in-depth audit. They check every thing that the city does, make sure that we book in money in a timely way, that our accounts are right, that we've been paying our bills on time. They're here for several weeks. It takes a lot of time to do that. And when that auditor got up and spoke, he said that this was absolutely one of the best cities financially he had ever seen. Not only did we have money in the bank to the tune of about $22 million in surplus, we also had about another $12 or $15 million in the bank of encumbered funds. When you do projects in 2023, but the project's not done until 2024, you have to carry that money over so you can pay those bills. And it's important to note that we have the money to pay every one of our bills and all those projects that we're doing. So he also made the comment, the auditor, that even though our books look so good and we're so well managed, we were one of the only communities that he had seen that actually had money in the bank, a surplus. So all that being said, yes, we had a lot of expense last year. We had to do work on the Stride Center. We had the soccer complex that took a lot of money, which is amazing, and about to have the grand opening. We had some equipment that we had to replace. There were a lot of things that you can't always anticipate that we had to spend some money on. So causing a little bit of a deficit, but what you need to know is we have surplus. We have the dollars to pay for it. I wouldn't want to run a deficit every single year, but it's okay. It's all right. We have the money. We're in a great position, and we're starting to see a trend where our sales tax dollars are going up. We're already up 5% over what we thought we would be at this time. One last thing I'll say is we're always tracking behind on sales tax. We don't get those, we don't know those results for 3 to 4 months after the public spent those dollars. It has to be collected, it has to be go all the way down to the state, and then they send that back to us. So it's tough for our finance department to figure on not knowing how many dollars you're going to have, what you can take on. But we've got a lot of good projects here. I feel very good about our budget. I'm not worried about the $6 million deficit because we have money in the bank. Good. So we're in good shape.
That's very encouraging. I appreciate all of the transparency and everything you were mentioning. That's very good.
Good.
So, here's another question. I know that we did, a couple years ago, we did Cleveland Street from Randolph Chestnut to the railroad tracks. And now we're anticipating doing the railroad tracks to Willow by Jumbo's to complete that project with ODOT. Can you tell me, let's talk about that reconstruction effort and how would it affect those in that area?
Okay. If you drive around town, any at all, our streets are getting very, very congested. I mean, it's just more and more and more traffic all the time, especially during certain hours. And Cleveland is it's a very important street. A lot of traffic goes north and south right there. And we did, several years ago, we did a portion of that, which is a boulevard now, has the medians in the center, beautiful lights. Wish we could do that all over Enid. And if you've been watching, we've also been doing all the utilities. Been a lot of construction through there. We haven't closed the road, but there's been a lot of construction. Years ago, for whatever reason, many of the utilities were put directly underneath the streets. So when we get ready to tear those up or need to move them, it's a challenge. It is a challenge. The Oklahoma Department of Transportation, ODOT, is going to finance a good portion of that for us. But ODOT just does a portion of it. We have to have skin in the game. And so this is the second phase. This is actually the construction of the road. So all the utilities are in. We feel very good about that. That's all paid for. Our part's paid for. But we appropriated the money in and around, I think it was $4.9 million was our portion to do from the railroad track all the way up to Willow. And once again, we've got the money, we appropriated the money, and it's my understanding from what I heard from our engineering department that within the next 30 days they will have let those bids out, and we will actually have a number back and have selected a construction company to do that for us. So all that being said, good things for Enid that we're widening our roads, but you need to realize it's going to be a challenge through there for a while. You may need to find a different direction to kind of maybe go around Cleveland, down Willow. You know, we've got Willow now, which is a great road. We widened it several years ago. So if we want new roads, if we want to fix our roads, it's a process, and it causes more traffic backup than what we have now, but you have to play the long game, Derrick. You have to repair roads, and that's what we're going to do. So, and I know you guys put out alerts letting people know when we're going to close certain roads, and you'll do that on Cleveland. So I'm excited about Cleveland. That's just another road that we're going to have 4-lane here before too long, and a lot of projects coming up. If you look at when we were looking at the budget, I think we've got, I think it was either 51 or 56 projects that we're taking on in 2024, not counting what we've got going on right now. So when you hear me say I truly believe that we're a city on the move, we are on the move. And so, unless you have other questions, I think that was just the two, wasn't it?
Just the two questions, and I just want to say I think the benefits will outweigh all of the inconvenience.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you look at the street that we already have from Cleveland to the tracks, it's so beautiful.
Oh, it is.
The lights and everything, it just makes it look so good. So.
And, you know, all the lights we're putting in now are all LED bulbs. We've worked a deal with OG&E also that they're going back and they're putting LED bulbs in all of our other lights. And that's a process, that's a big process, but it also helps our electrical bill.
Yes.
And so trying to look into the future, trying to plan 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years from now. So
thank you for that information.
You're sure welcome. Thank you for asking the questions this morning. I'll remind people, our folks out there, we do this every other week, 2 times a month, and send in your questions at askmason@enid.org, or just give us a call. Call Derrick. Call Derrick at home. No, don't call Derrick at home. But call Derrick. We'll answer all the questions that we can. And if I don't have the expertise to do it, we'll find the folks that do, and we'll get them in here and we'll ask them. So thank you, and always remember, Enid is a wonderful place, and we are truly a city on the move. Thank you.